Hello. We are going to walk you through recording internal and customer based expenses in altraCRM in this video today. We will explain you step by step on the below mentioned features, as in how you record an internal expense, record customer based expense, as well as convert an expense into an invoice. Let us head to altraCRM dashboard. In the dashboard, under the sales and report section, you have expenses listed. Let's get into the expenses. Once you come inside expenses, you can already see a lot of expenses which have already been recorded. You can also see the category under which the expenses are recorded, the amount of the expense made, the name. There's nothing but what exactly is this expenses recorded for, the receipt. You can also add a PDF or a JPEG or any of the receipt document. You can attach it while recording the expense. You can see the date of when the expense was made. If it's related to a particular customer and a particular project, you can see that as well. And also, if the expense is recorded as an invoice, it will also showcase it over here. And you can also see the reference number and the payment mode through which this expense has been recorded. You can also quickly click on the summary button to see what is the overall expenses recorded. You can also click on the years over here to check if you want to see for a particular year. For example, 2021, you can see how much of total recorded expenses are made, billable, non-billable, not invoiced, and billed as well. You can also quickly filter by clicking on the filter icon whether you want to check the billable, whether invoiced, whether in terms of month of the recorded expenses. You can filter it via this option. You can also export whether in Excel sheet or CSV or PDF, or you can print, and also you can click on any of the expenses for a quick view on the right side. As you can see, the expense will be showcased, all the details of the expenses. You can also edit by clicking on this button. You can print, you can copy, you can delete, and also convert it to an invoice. Each expenses can also be linked with a particular task. Let's say, for example, I want to add a particular task for this expense. Record expense with the receipt. I can also bill on an hourly rate for this particular task, whether it's billable or whether it can be made public. You can also attach files for this particular expense. Now let me redo it again. Now you can also add the start date, the due date, priority of this task, whether it's a repetitive task, related to. So currently this task is related to this expense and which customer it is linked to. Assignee, who is the assigned person for this particular task. Followers, you can also have multiple followers as well as multiple assignees, and then tags and then description. This is how you can create a task under each expense. You can also set reminders. Now let me add a reminder. I'm going to set a reminder for February 3rd. Set a reminder to Ryan Parker and add description. Remind to create a new expense, and also send an email with this reminder. You can check this and you can save it. This is how you can also create reminders for each and every expense. Now, in order to record an expense, all you need to do is click on record expense. So once you come inside, you can attach a receipt. Once you click on it, it will directly take you to your desktop. Once you attach it, you can add a name of the expense. Let's say this is transportation expense. Now you can also add a note. This is just a sample content. Now, expense category. Under what category does this expense come under? So currently we have customer expense, in-house office expense, operational, and staff. You can also create more of these by clicking on this plus icon. You can add a category name and you can also add a category description. For example, sales lead generation expense. You can also add more description and you can save them. So once you add a category, automatically the category is going to fall under the expense category. You can also add the expense date. When exactly was this expense made? How much was the amount? Let me add it as $50. And this is where you can either select a customer or you can leave it without selecting a customer. Now, once you select a customer, let me attach this expense to DQ investments. And you can also select if in case it comes under a particular project for DQ investments. So yes, there is a project recorded in our altraCRM. How to create a project, how to add a customer, we've already explained you in a couple of our other videos. You can go through them. So either you can leave these customer and project section empty if in case it's an in-house office expense or staff expenses, which is an internal expense. As explained to you early, this is how you record an internal expense. And if in case you're recording it based on a customer, all you need to do is select a particular customer and you can either add a project or you don't have to add a project as well. This can also be billable. Once you click on billable, this expense will be automatically billed to the customer as well. Now, let me go ahead to the next section. Currency, it's already set to US dollars as a default. You can also change that in the settings. Tax, whether you are going to add a tax to this particular expense. You can also add tax 1 and tax 2, which can again be set in the settings. And you can also use this option to subtract total tax amount from the expense made. You can just check this button as well. Now, once you scroll down, you also have a payment mode. For example, how was this expense made? Whether it was done via bank, check, federal transfer, PayPal, or you can also add payment modes under the settings as well. You can also add a quick reference number for this particular expense. And you can also make this whether it's a repetitive expense. Let's say it's a weekly or a monthly, or you can also add a custom cycle as well under the custom cycle section. Let's say whether you want it to be repeating under 15 days, or let's say 10 days, every 10 days this is going to repeat, whether it's an infinite cycle or whether this has to cycle only 3 times or 4 times, you can create that. And you can also click on this checkbox in order to convert this expense also into an invoice. And once you do that, you can also send the invoice to customer email when expense recreated. You can also check on this. So currently I'm going to uncheck this and I'm going to save this particular expense. Now, as you can see, this expense has been created, sales lead generation expense. So you can also attach over here. At the same time, as explained, you also have tasks and reminders. You can also have child expenses under this particular expense as well. Now, as I mentioned, you can print, copy, delete. You can also go ahead and edit this particular expense. So this is how you go ahead and you create an expense. So internal expense has been showcased. You just need to leave the customer and project section empty. And if in case it's based on a customer, you just need to add the customer, and you can also add the project or you can leave the project empty as well. Now the final part, converting expense into an invoice. All you need to do is come to a particular expense and you can click over here, convert to invoice. So you are going to get an option over here in this dialog box which says convert and save as draft, and also include additional details to item long description taken for this expense. For example, if you want to add an expense note or an expense name, you can also select them and you can add them as well. So this is basically a category description. So let me go ahead and confirm the same. Now, as you can see, the expense has been converted to an invoice. In this, you can go ahead and you can add more items as well. It is already pulling an item, which is the expense that was created with all the details, including the cost, including the tax and everything. Now, for the same expense, you can either merge it with existing invoice of the same customer, which has already been created by clicking on this, At the same time, you can also come here, add tags, and add all the details, as in how you create an invoice. How to create an invoice has already been explained in our invoice creation video. You can view the same. And also you can add little more of, let's say for example, if in case you want to add couple of more charges, couple of more services that you want to record this invoice with, you can add it directly by clicking on the item. So this have to be selected, and then as you can see, I've added two more categories of expenses, or let's say the services that we are providing, and also expenses also being recorded. So this is how you can go ahead and create expense and also convert this into an invoice. Now as you can see, this expense has been converted into an invoice as well. So we have successfully covered converting expenses into invoice as well. If you still have issues with these features, reach out to our chat support on our website and we will be happy to help you further. Thanks for watching.